Hi, I'm Kelsey Kenry, and I am a business consultant for mom founders. And today we are talking all about the hottest topic among mom founders, which is balancing and juggling all things business and motherhood. Truthfully, most people throw this idea out the window and choose one or the other. They think there is no way that you can grow and succeed and become wealthy while also being present. So today we're talking about how you can balance both, what it needs to look like for you. So I remember I was at an event and I had just finished speaking. I was a keynote speaker at an event, and one of the other speakers that was sitting with me looked to me and she said, "You're a good mom." And my eyes just filled with tears. I didn't realize in that moment how much I needed to hear that. And it was really beautiful because we had this moment where we were just praising each other and talking about leadership. And it was the last thing that was said as we came to a close. And oftentimes we are aware that our children contribute deeply to our why. One of the reasons why we push ourselves so hard to succeed is to provide a life and experiences for our children. But with more women who are rising in leadership and expanding in entrepreneurship and shattering glass ceilings, these founders who are paving the way also feel like we aren't enough. We aren't enough for our children. We aren't good enough moms. We are constantly thinking about one or the other and feeling immense guilt when we're not spending time in both places at the same time. And so the question is, how do we actually become great leaders and present mothers? Is it even possible to do both? And does balance really exist? I will tell you that it does. What I will also tell you is that it looks different for everyone. And going into creating balance with the expectation of creating somebody else's version will always lead you to failure. When you take the leap of starting a business, as you've grown to become a more established business, you notice that the work pulls you more and deeper into doing more implementation, bigger teams. There are just more responsibilities on your plate. And truthfully, running your business is overwhelmingly positive. It gives you freedom. It gives you flexibility. It gives you the ability to constantly choose how you're spending your time and your energy. But oftentimes that's forgotten, right? So many women have stepped up and stepped in, right? They're filling gaps, they're creating changes, they want to make a mark on the world. And we feel with our businesses, this is what we use to help write our legacy. Every day we are putting our heart and soul into something that we hope will make a difference. But the problem is when you are with your children, you think about your work. When you are working, you feel guilty that you're working too much. And it's this constant pressure. And the biggest issue that I see is, as a female founder who is also a mother, it is the easiest track to burn yourself out. It is the easiest track as a service-based professional to give it your all and forget to take anything back for yourself. So you squeeze in as much as you can in the hours that you have. You sacrifice your sleep and your sanity for your mission. And you find yourself in the situation where in the mornings you're reaching for your phone for the idea that you can get things done and you can get ahead for the day. And you never want to miss out on any opportunities because you have this desire to raise great leaders in your children and be an example to them. But you also have a hard time actually being present and turning off because there's always so much work to do. You would love to be able to turn off, but it just seems impossible, right? You're devoted to making a mark on the world for your business, and you just can't figure out how to balance both. We often see things like chronic fatigue and insomnia, and these things are being normalized, right? You see all of the stuff that floats around that's like you traded your 9 to 5 for a 24/7. And that kind of stuff is so toxic and dangerous because the truth is you can only provide at your highest capacity. You can only get good quality results when you have the ability to give. And all of us hear about pouring from an empty cup and how it's impossible, but we hear that and we don't do anything about it. But the truth is there. So this idea of self-care, of taking time for yourself, knowing that you need a break, knowing that you need to move your body, knowing you need to spend time with friends and explore hobbies, it's there, it's in the back of your mind, but so much has been normalized as someone who is running a business that none of that exists in the pursuit of success, that it just feels like there's never enough time. And what I want to tell you today is that time is actually not the problem. We think the problem is time because there's so much that we want to do and we're constantly running against the clock. One of the most powerful shifts that my clients make to take back control of their lives, right? Because at a certain point, the tides have shifted and your business is running you, and you are showing up basically to do your to-do list and to complete projects and to manage your team. So one of the most powerful shifts that they make is they don't even realize that by committing to so many responsibilities, that they have also let those responsibilities dictate how they feel, live, and work. So what I mean by that is that they forget that it's a choice. And when you take back that power of this is a choice, I get to choose. When you really step back and step out of the busyness and you say, what is this financial freedom that I've built without time freedom? Because that's not true freedom. Mothering doesn't have to take away from business, and business doesn't have to take away from mothering. Time isn't the problem. Your intention is the problem. You aren't being intentional with your time, and you aren't setting standards or boundaries that align with your personal values. We think about business in a vacuum, and we create strategy to continuously grow the business. And we forget when we're creating things that we have the freedom to create those things within parameters that we set. You've simply forgotten that you control how, where, and when you spend your time and energy. This means the way that you are running your business and the way that a lot of very successful from the outside businesses run is based on fear. Fear of losing an opportunity, fear of upsetting someone, fear of never being enough, fear of failing, and fear of just never getting where you want to go. So you have to take back your control. You have to step out to step up. That's what I say to my clients. Step out of the burning building that is your disorganized, dysfunctional business. You may be gaining a lot of revenue, but at what expense, right? What are the hours that you're working? It's time to really take an honest look at that. So when you take back control of your time, of your calendar, of what you're saying yes to, you get your power back and you get your life back. You don't have to subscribe to the narrative of business overtaking your life because it's yours. What you can do instead is that you can create your own version of balance. Not somebody else's, but your own. instead of continuing to perpetuate old narratives and continuing old cycles of this is what work looks like, we have to write something new, right? For me, my working hours are significantly less because when my kids get home from school, I'm not going to work until 5 o'clock and work those 2 hours just because that's 2 hours. Do I have more that I could do? Absolutely. But I don't have to. Your timelines are your own. Again, we just give so much power to these external things that we forget that we control and dictate. So instead of creating your schedule based on old corporate ideas or the 9 to 5 idea, you get to create a schedule that is aligned with what works best for your family. You get to choose how you spend your time based on your own needs, not everybody else's, because that's when you're going to do your best work. So if you build out an ideal schedule that gives you hours to work and hours to be with your family and hours for alone time and hours to take care of your mental and physical wellness and hours to have social time. Everybody talks about how like it's just too much because you're supposed to be doing all these things. That's not the problem. The problem is that we're not prioritizing and we're not organizing. So you build something that is dictated by what you want, and then you build everything else around it. There are certain days and times that I am not available for calls because I'm not. So I want you to start thinking about asking yourself the question of how many hours do you want to work? How many days a week do you want to work? What works for your family? What do you want your days and your weeks to look like? How do you operate best? You know, put some structure around your work days themselves so you aren't constantly pulled in a million directions. You don't need to take meetings 5 days a week. You don't need to work a 5-day work week. It doesn't matter how busy you are, how many responsibilities you have. Most of my clients are at least at the multiple 6, if not the multiple 7-figure level. And we are implementing this into their business and things are running better and they're continuing to expand. So a lot of times we have this false idea that our business can't run in a different way because we've built it in such a way that it has required us giving all of us. So I want you to think what you want your days and your weeks to look like. You create your version of balance by realizing what you don't want to do and what you do want to do, and then building around that. So what are the non-negotiables for your mental health? I get up at 5 a.m. not because I'm some warrior. I get up at 5 a.m. because my kids get up at 7, and that 2 hours gives me time to take care of my mental and my physical health. And I start my day with that energy, with putting me first. So how can you incorporate a block in your schedule? And what do you need to say no to? What do you need to remove? And what do you need to move around? And what timelines do you need to extend to make sure that you're moving your body, to make sure that you're not burnt out, to make sure that you're not suffering from anxiety and insomnia because your mental load is so heavy? Before you can create your version of balance, you need to get clear on what you need and what you want. And then you need to be willing to ask for that and create it and say no and set those boundaries and set up anything that you need, whether that's systems or processes or automations or hiring or whatever you need, asking for help in your home from the people that are around you. We don't have to do it all, but we can do all the things that we want if we organize it well. So once you're clear on what you want your days to look like, you build an actual structure to support it. The first thing that I do when I'm working with my private clients is we go in and make a full list of everything that they're doing and how they are organized with their time, and then we change it all. We flip it to where we create a solid schedule for them that allows them to do everything they need to do in the business and what is their responsibilities, and then also carve out time for them, for their families, because it has to be built that way. You can't just wing it. There's too many things on your plate. So build an actual structure to support what you want, and then ask for all the help that you need to maintain it. Right? Start asking, if you have older kids, my 7-year-old does his laundry. So there are bits and pieces in business and at home that you may think are simple things that you can just do quickly, but we don't realize that that running to-do list causes such mental fatigue because of the load and the weight of that load. The more that you can take off, and the more that you can get organized to where everything has a dedicated space, the better you will feel. The more relief you will feel, the less overwhelmed you feel, the less stress you will feel, because that doesn't need to be a necessity for running a business. And I will leave you with this. As you ponder those questions and as you go to creating something, a new structure and schedule for yourself to organize all these things, you're a good mom. And you're a good mom because you're here and you care about trying to do both. It's not an easy road, but I promise you that it's possible to run a 7-figure, 8-figure company without sacrificing yourself, without sacrificing your relationships. I know this because my clients are doing it. So I hope that this leaves you with a lot of things to chew on and think about, but thinking about things doesn't do anything. Go and implement this. Think about what you need to change so that you can move yourself back to the forefront. And if you need the accountability, if you need the structure, if you need somebody in your corner, you can absolutely book a call to get on my wait list. And we can talk about different options for you. So thanks for watching, and we will be back next week with another video.